on the news. Hundreds line up at a cathedral basilica in Newark to venerate the relics of a beloved saint.
His relics have traveled the world, and now once again crowds are coming to pray to Padre Pio. I'm Jessica Easthope with why people here say he has a devotion like no other.
Also, Pope Francis arrives in Kazakhstan for day one of his journey, and he had a message for leaders of the country. Plus,
we find that the Catholic community here is extremely generous. Everybody wants to help.
She's reaching out to help them. We speak with a Catholic woman from St. Louis who started her own foundation to help migrants from Afghanistan. And they're calling it a blessing she was there, how a cafeteria worker helped to save the life of a student. I'm Christine Persichetti. Current News starts right now. This statue of Padre Pio is called I Embrace You, a sentiment that is being returned to the saint by the faithful. The chance to venerate the relic of a saint is once in a lifetime, but hundreds of people in New Jersey had the chance to venerate 5. An exhibit of Padre Pio's relics arrived at the Cathedral Basilica of the Sacred Heart this week. Current News' Jessica Easthope has the story from Newark.
They waited, many their whole lives, to experience the mystery of Padre Pio. Crowds gathered outside the Cathedral Basilica of the Sacred Heart in Newark Monday to venerate 5 of St. Pio's relics.
When people are in the proximity of the relics, they find an overwhelming sense of hope and peace.
Luciano La Monarca is the founder and CEO of the St. Pio Foundation. For the last 8 years, he's been educating the public about St. Pio, or as many call him, Padre Pio. He was an Italian priest most known for the stigmata he bore, 5 wounds in the same places where Jesus was nailed to the cross and pierced during his crucifixion that appeared on his body in 1918. The relics on display for veneration include scabs from his wounds, gauze stained with his blood, locks of hair, a piece of his mantle, and a handkerchief drenched in his sweat.
They can really tie themselves and say, I have been so close to Padre Pio the best I could.
The relics exhibit is part of the I Embrace You tour that started in 2017. This is the first time they're on display for veneration in the Archdiocese of Newark. The relics invoking an emotional response, especially from friends Daria and Kathleen.
I feel like he's my guardian angel. I have faith, total faith.
When you can feel heaven touch earth and know how powerfully they're working for you, it's the mystery of faith.
Luciano says many come to the exhibit out of curiosity, but that the beauty of devotion is when people seek out more.
Study, to learn about who Padre Pio was. The relics is just the beginning of a journey.
The St. Pio Foundation estimates more than 1 million people have seen these relics. When they leave the Cathedral Basilica of the Sacred Heart, they'll travel to 23 more cities this year. In Newark, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
If you'd like to know where the relics can be seen next and for more information on Padre Pio, just log on to stpiofoundation.org. An update now to a story Jessica first brought to us Monday. Residents at a NYCHA complex are suing the city for their water woes. The lawsuit comes after the city retracted a previous warning that water at the Jacob Breeze houses showed traces of arsenic in initial testing. But the lab that conducted the test said they introduced the arsenic in the samples, and that led to false results. On Monday, Mayor Eric Adams declared the water safe, even drinking from the tap at the housing complex to prove it. The Board of Regents has approved rules that will help make education equal between public and private schools. The board voted unanimously and without debate for the new guidelines, which offers multiple pathways for private schools to show they are offering an education substantially equivalent to public schools. Those include offering Regents exams, being accredited by an approved body, or having its curriculum assessed by the local authority. Failure to provide an equal education means schools could lose public funding. The New York State Catholic Conference says they are confident Catholic schools will meet the guidelines. Governor Kathy Hochul has let New York's COVID state of emergency expire. Hochul made the decision on Monday as COVID cases remain at a relatively low level. The emergency declaration was originally put into effect to speed up the testing process and expand access to vaccinations. Pope Francis is now in Kazakhstan on a 3-day apostolic journey to the country. The Holy Father spoke before the country's leaders Tuesday. Annalise Taggart has the latest on his trip.
There was no shortage in references to the war in Ukraine in the Pope's first speech in Kazakhstan. He said that the world must recover the spirit of Helsinki, referring to the pact signed in 1975 between the Western powers and the Soviet Union that declared the sovereignty of European borders.
Abbiamo bisogno di leader che, a livello internazionale, permettano ai popoli di comprendersi e dialogare e generino un nuovo spirito di Helsinki, la volontà di rafforzare il multilateralismo, di costruire un mondo più stabile e pacifico, pensando alle nuove generazioni.
The Pope took advantage of a local Kazakh proverb to recall that a globalized world must remain united.
La fonte del successo è l'unità, recita un bel proverbio locale.
Pope Francis's speech touched on a number of subjects. He denounced the injustices caused by an unequal distribution of wealth and criticized extremism and populism. He praised Kazakhstan's commitment to minimize the use of coal and to protect the environment while recognizing its ability to respect different religions, using the Interfaith Congress as an example. These were Pope Francis's first words in Kazakhstan. Speaking before the political leaders of the country, it is the most political speech of the trip. Due to his knee problems, the Pope spoke while seated, just as he did on his trip to Canada.
That was Annalise Taggart reporting. The Pope was supposed to meet with the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church on Wednesday, but Kirill decided against traveling to Kazakhstan. Looking ahead, here are some of the big events coming up on the Holy Father's trip. On Wednesday, he'll participate in the Congress of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions. That afternoon, the Pope will preside over a Mass with Kazakhstan's Catholic minority. Then, on his final day, Francis will meet with local church leaders, give a final speech at the Congress, and then leave for Rome. Be sure to follow Currents News and the tablet for continuing coverage of the Pope's trip to Kazakhstan. Queen Elizabeth II's coffin has made its final trip to Buckingham Palace. Scottish mourners said their final goodbyes Tuesday before Her Majesty was flown to England's capital. Already, huge crowds have gathered to honor the monarch. Isabel Rosales reports.
Mourners in Scotland said their final goodbyes to Queen Elizabeth II Tuesday.
I always thought the Queen would live forever, and I was so gutted when she passed away. So I had to make the journey here to pay me respects.
The Queen's coffin moved from St. Giles Cathedral Tuesday and flown to London, now resting at Buckingham Palace. On Wednesday, the Queen will lie in state at Westminster Hall until her funeral next Monday. Crowds in London already gathering to pay their respects.
We came last night, we've been sleeping here, whether it's cold or not, we don't mind. If you don't love somebody, you won't do anything for anyone.
Preparations for the Queen's funeral underway in the capital city. The royal soldiers out practicing for the formal ceremonies Monday night. Meanwhile, King Charles III and the Queen Consort Camilla met with mourners in Belfast, Northern Ireland. The monarchy and Northern Ireland have a complicated past. For nearly half of Queen Elizabeth's 70-plus-year reign were years of bloody violence known as the Troubles, which pitted UK Unionists against the Irish nationalists who fought to break away from the monarchy. Bringing those two sides together was something the late Queen focused on.
The visit to the Republic of Ireland was hugely important because it was that coming together of the two countries.
Isabel Rosales, Currents News.
The late Queen's daughter, Princess Anne, said in a statement that it has been an honor and a privilege to accompany her mother's coffin on its final journeys. Senator Lindsey Graham has proposed a new nationwide late-term abortion ban. The South Carolina Republican is looking to stop the procedure after 15 weeks of pregnancy because of the pain the infant feels in the womb.
The baby feels pain. That to save the baby's life, you have to provide anesthesia because you don't want to hurt the baby in the process of saving its life. And we are not a better nation by dismembering that child.
Graham has repeatedly introduced bills banning abortion after the 20-week mark. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer spoke out against the measure earlier on Tuesday before Graham actually made his announcement.
Well, later today, the senior senator from South Carolina is going to make good on Leader McConnell's warning by introducing a radical bill to institute a nationwide restriction on abortions. Mr. President, proposals like the one today send a clear message from MAGA Republicans to women across the country. Your body, our choice.
There's also no chance that Schumer would allow such a bill to come up for a vote in the Senate. Pro-life leaders have condemned Planned Parenthood's new report that revealed an increase in abortions. The organization released the new data on Friday. Planned Parenthood says in 2020 it performed more than 383,000 abortions. That's about 28,000 more than in 2019. A new inflation report shows it didn't ease as much as it was expected to in August. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, consumer prices rose 8.3% last month compared to the same time a year ago. While it's a drop from July's report, economists say inflation is still high with increased costs for food, housing, and medical care. The inflation report triggered a stock plunge on Wall Street. By Tuesday's close, the Dow tumbled more than 1,200 points. The S&P 500 was off more than 177 points, and the Nasdaq fell more than 630 points. There's a lot more news headed your way. A Catholic woman puts her faith into action, helping Afghan refugees not just survive in the U.S., but also thrive. Plus, as the busloads keep coming, how cooperation among cities is now affecting the handling of the migrant crisis.
There are now some big changes to the tablet website. You can get personalized access to the Catholic news you value. Sign up for free at thetablet.org.
They're indelible images as the U.S. scrambled to evacuate Americans and Afghans as the longest war in history came to a close. But even more people escaped Afghanistan following the Taliban's takeover of Kabul and made their way to the U.S. And St. Louis, Missouri has seen a rise in migrants from the war-torn country. So one Catholic decided to put her faith into action by starting a foundation for families in need. Ann Whitman, founder of Humankind STL, joins us now. Thanks for being here, Ann.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first, tell me, what happened that made you want to start this nonprofit?
When I met the first family that had arrived in Afghanistan that had 5 small children and a baby on the way, I just fell in love with them there. And as I sat there for an hour and heard their story, my heart ached for this family, and I jumped into action and said, all right, let's do this. So we got them a job and a car and got the kids in school. And throughout that process, I just fell in love with them. And, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just following my heart. But as I quickly learned that they were the first of many. And so as I met more and more families, it just became apparent that all these families were going to have the same struggle with getting their new lives started. So I reached out to a bunch of my friends, 4 other Catholic women in St. Louis who have a servant's heart just like me. And we just started Humankind STL to help them, to be with them, to coordinate resources, to raise money. And every day we're out there with them.
And from what I've read, this is like a different kind of charity. You're not just holding events and raising money, which of course is great, but you're getting personally involved. Tell us some of the everyday things that you do that people may not think the immigrants need help with.
Sure. So for instance, one of our families has 5 children. 2 of them are under 5, and we have a program for women, infant children where they can get a certain amount of free food every month. And so I took them to the WIC office, and the mom doesn't speak English and the children don't speak English, but I just picked them up in my minivan and we went to the office where we got the WIC benefits. And while we were sitting and waiting, I just opened up some board books and we went over colors and shapes and animals, and wow, they're just so happy to be with me. So that's just kind of an example of us giving our time and our love, and every day we just figure it out together.
That's so wonderful. And we know your charity started with helping the families who fled Afghanistan. But so many other cities, including New York and D.C., are experiencing an influx of migrants being bused from the southern border. What can people in these cities learn from you and your organization?
The needs are all the same when you're starting over. And I say just show empathy and love, and don't judge, and listen and be open to what their needs are. I have found that they ask for help, and if you sit and listen, it's so easy for us to help. And New York is a city of immigrants, so everyone there should be so empathetic and ready to help, because a lot of them have been through it.
Yeah, so you just need those volunteers to step up. Talk about the work you do with your church and how your parish has gotten involved.
Yes, so we've actually gotten a lot of parishes involved, and we just asked for, we did a quarter drive at one of the parishes because a lot of people live in apartments with coin laundry. And so the parish and the school collected quarters. We're doing a baby shower we have 5 pregnant Afghan women, and some of our 8th grade confirmation groups who need service hours reached out to me, and they're holding a baby shower. Another one of our parishes hosted a Welcome to America party in the gym, and really the premise was just to gather everybody and get to know them and have them be able to get out of their apartments and have some fun and some food. Of course, we reach out to our parishes for everyday things like car seats and bicycles and clothes and lunch boxes. We find that the Catholic community here is extremely generous. Everybody wants to help. They just need a little direction.
Absolutely. Sounds wonderful. Ann Whitman, founder of Humankind STL. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Right now, Humankind STL is raising money to buy used cars for the immigrants. If you'd like to donate, just go to humankindstl.org/donate. The migrant crisis is reaching new corners of the United States, and as elected officials welcome busloads of immigrants, working together to prepare for them has proved to be a challenge. Currents News' Jessica Easthope has the details.
From New York to Chicago to D.C., thousands of migrants have arrived on buses from Texas. The latest stop, Illinois, where the mayor of Elk Grove Village, a suburb of Chicago, says he's fed up, accusing Mayor Lori Lightfoot of playing politics when it comes to declaring the Windy City a sanctuary for migrants.
She wants to proudly say politically, I'm a sanctuary city, I welcome you open arms, but when reality checks and 5 busloads shows up in her city, she can't handle them.
Mayor Craig Johnson said he wasn't prepared to welcome the 90 migrants who arrived in his northwest suburb.
We're not against migrants, we're not against helping them, but we should work together. Our frustration is no advanced knowledge, no involvement in communications discussing how we can handle this.
And over in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser wants City Council to pass legislation codifying her public emergency declaration over the large influx of migrants into the city.
How do we treat people humanely? It also allows us to make sure that our homeless services system and our system to create affordable housing isn't broken down by this crisis that we didn't create.
The governors of Texas and Arizona have bused 9,000 migrants to D.C. since April. Bowser says a number of them were misled about the availability of jobs. And in New York City, where approximately 8,000 migrants have arrived, Mayor Eric Adams is making resources available. According to the MTA, the city has requested 2 buses to be provided a day and will determine where the migrants are taken. The city has agreed to reimburse the MTA all costs. As for where migrants will be taken next, Philadelphia is bracing to receive busloads of families from Texas. Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
Catholics across Europe are praying for Ukraine as every church is being encouraged to hold a Eucharistic Adoration Wednesday. The initiative, launched by the Council of European Bishops' Conferences, was inspired by the Ukrainian bishops. They declared 2022 to be the year of the Holy Cross for Ukrainian Catholics. The push to be in front of the Blessed Sacrament and pray that the Lord will grant peace to Ukraine is being held on the Feast of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross, which honors the cross Jesus was crucified on. So far, around 24 European countries have agreed to participate. Still to come on Currents News, it could look like a scene out of an action movie. Next, why NASA is planning to crash a spacecraft into an asteroid. And she thinks of them as if they're family, how one cafeteria worker helped to save the life of one of her students. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number, 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. NASA is on a different kind of mission, and it could help protect Earth one day. In about 2 weeks, the space agency will crash a spacecraft into an asteroid called Dimorphos. It's just a test, and the asteroid is not threatening Earth. But scientists want to see if the collision can change the asteroid's orbit. The first of its kind mission could be crucial in learning if the crash could protect our planet from potentially being hit by an asteroid. She's a cafeteria worker in Ohio, but now you can also call her a hero. She jumped into action to save a 4th grade student who was choking. As Mike Holdeen reports, she says she views these students like they were part of her family.
How's your day going?
North Royalton area mom of 2, Megan Kulikowski.
We're good. Have a great day.
Takes serious pride in her job as a cafeteria worker. Whether it's prepping Padua Franciscan High School's famous chocolate chip cookies in the back kitchen.
You're all set. Thank you.
Or waiting on lines of students in the morning and afternoon lunch periods.
You really do grow a bond with them, and you know them personally, and you just want to make sure that they're all okay and all taken care of.
And taken care of has been given a whole new meaning. Back on September 1st, Kulikowski was stopped in her tracks in the middle of the cafeteria.
I was at the register ringing, and I had students coming up, and a girl came to the side, and kind of surprised to see her there.
Something was seriously off as she watched the teenage girl's face become more and more flushed while she gasped for breath.
I could hear her mumble help, but you could tell that it was struggled and just kind of caught me by surprise. I yelled for help. I threw my arms around her.
Some students watched from nearby tables as Kulikowski ditched the checkout line and performed the Heimlich maneuver.
Honestly, I didn't even have time to think of what it could have been. I just knew we had to help her and get whatever it was out. And I was totally caught by surprise when I looked at the ground, and it was a bottle cap from a water bottle.
Kulikowski successfully dislodged the bottle cap from the girl's airway, which she apparently had been chewing on. Like any good mom, she then grabbed some water for her and helped her get to the school nurse.
She said thank you. She said, you know, she was okay. She wanted, again, none of the attention. She just wanted to go back to class.
The family of the child says they feel blessed and eternally grateful to the cafeteria staff for looking out for her. Kulikowski says she's a bit caught off guard by the newfound recognition and praise, but at the end of the day, she says it's what any of her fellow cafeteria moms would do.
I'm taking it all in. I am greatly appreciative, but again, I don't feel like I did anything else that any of these other women wouldn't have done. You know, we all care about these kids so much.
Amazing. That was Mike Holdeen reporting. Megan says she hopes she can inspire more people to learn how to save someone who's choking. It's part of the training she received as a cafeteria worker. Thank God for that. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.